everyone, Jay in Property in Doncaster again. So I'm going to be doing a video on due diligence, easy for me to say, basically based around sort of buy, refurb, refinance. But this is all the information that I probably wish someone had just gave to me really when I was first looking into this, and so it would have been a massive help. So again, like I say, I like to share everything, and hopefully for some people maybe just starting out, this will be really helpful. So I'll run you through a couple of documents. So due diligence. So this just means the research you do on the property, on the area before purchasing the property. It's very important, and it can make a break whether you decide to do it or not, whether it's an actual deal. You always want to make sure when you're searching for a deal that it fits your specific criteria. So as long as you know what you want the outcome to be, then it makes things a lot easier. So I gave a basic one here. So the properties that will give me a £350 rental profit each month, and all the money out of the deal within 30 months, or a minimum on 10,000 on a flip. So, well, because I know that that's my criteria, which can change over time, but that's the basic criteria I set, then I know what I'm looking for, which makes things a lot easier. So, first thing, find a property. So, again, you then must find a target area for yourself. So, again, it depends on what you want. But you don't want to be obviously searching in the worst area, I guess. You want to be searching in not the best area because it'll be more expensive. You want to kind of get a bit of a sweet spot where they're good properties, they're in a sort of medium sort of area, I guess, where you get the best return, because rents don't tend to be much different than the price you pay. So anyway, so get your target areas. Look on Rightmove, other apps, speak to agents, see what's available. Next thing you need to do is really important is check rental demand. So this is a bit of a weird one actually, because I was never really 100% sure on how you did it, but this is my interpretation of it anyway. So triple check there's high rental demand in the area and how much rental income there'll be from the house. So you can do this by a few things. So one is speaking to estate agents, ringing up and just asking basically about the rental demand, and they will tell you that way. The other way is to go on the let agreed part on Rightmove, and it will give you the price of the property and what it was up for and how much they got. And also go on the Rightmove and go on the rent section in your particular area, and you can obviously get a look at the type of style property you'd be looking for and how much that might be looking to bring in, and it becomes pretty easy. Another way of checking rental demand, if you want to go that far, is to go on spareroom.co.uk and search the area and see how many people are looking for properties in that area, and even put a dummy ad on there as well before you commit to that target area. So this is probably for more people who don't know the area. And then you see how many responses you got. It will cost about £8 for the ad, and then you see how many responses you got. And obviously, if it's not an area that you are familiar with, then you might look obviously for transport links, schools, amenities, things like that, to give you a better idea. Okay, and again, this is linked to buy, refurb, refinance. So again, the way I would be looking at it is look at the property that requires some work to add value. So I'd look at the pictures and I'd see what obvious work needs doing before a viewing. So new kitchen, bathroom, recapping and all that stuff, and started to build up a cost in your head. If you're not sure on cost, which is another big thing that I sort of was unsure of when I first started, I did a video on ballpark figures and refurb costs, so go and check that one out. Key things that add value, which is another contentious thing in property, so people will turn their nose up at certain things, but the main things I've found are key things that add value is obviously kitchens, bathrooms, obvious off-street parkings, extensions, changeable layouts, so you can knock through walls to make things open plan, and add in a bedroom. And they seem to be the main things that I think could add value to a property. So when I'm searching and I'm looking on Rightmove, I'll look at the layouts if possible, so the floor plans where I'm viewing, and see if it can do any of those things I just mentioned to add value to the property. We'll make it easier to add value, shall we say. Okay, so what's the property value? So what people get a little bit confused is whatever the property is up for is not necessarily what it's actually worth. You need to double check that they've not just overpriced it. So you look on Rightmove or other apps or whatever and see what's nearby and check that it's not been really overpriced. So the way you can do that is you just go on to Rightmove and you go on house prices and you just go on sold. So obviously it's just one search recently, and check the road out, and it'll actually give you an average cost of the price over the last year of what's actually sold. Here, so you can scroll down, you can see it, and then obviously you compare it to the property that you have. Obviously, to make sure it's if you're looking for a 3-bed, make sure it's 3-bed, etc. Same sort of style as a semi or a mid-terrace. You need to be quite sort of specific about that. Make sure it's very similar. Okay. and you can scroll down and you can make out. And you can also update it as well, so of how far away it is. So this area only within a quarter of a mile. Okay. Okay, and then you need to find the end value. So again, doing a very similar thing that you've just done, and looking at it and sort of seeing what house is very, very similar to yours that has sold recently. Again, look on Rightmove, see what nearby within the last 6 months, and see if there's any properties of the same layout, how much is sold for. Check the floor plans, and also check the size of the property. You can do that by finding the EPCs. So that is completely free. You just need to go on the EPC register, just Google it, and it comes up, and retrieve report using property address, which is up here. So I'll just do a recent one here. Search for show reports, and then you click on it and it comes up. So here's one here, and if you look on the actual energy performance certificate, it'll give the actual address, and it'll also give the meters squared of how big it is just there. And also give the EPC rating. If you're going to rent it out, you need to make sure it's an E and above, so make sure you check that as well. Okay, back on this one. Okay, and the real sort of ball ache comes in when what if properties haven't sold nearby. So this is a question that absolutely went on my head for a long, long time, and basically it's a bit of a ball ache. So ring up local agents and get them to put it in writing what they would mark it up for. Again, not a guarantee. You could pay a RICS value. It costs about £350 to go around and tell you the end done up value, which seems like a really good idea, but it's certainly not guaranteed either to actually come in when you come to revalue it. So, but it's something I guess better off doing than not doing. Compare the square meters like I showed you on the EPC register. You can also look at ACAD data. So this is something that I got from a valuer. It's called ACAD data. Google it, and then you go on the house price index. Okay, it then tells you the annual change percentage of certain area where you're looking. If you hover over it, it tells you along Yorkshire and Humber, it's down per month. On this, down 1.3%. So you can then start to build an argument to what you think it's going to be worth down the line. So, but really, it's just a calculated risk as written down there. You're looking at best case, worst case, and always go at least not $5,000 off what you think it actually might be worth at the end. So, other handy tips, again, probably not for if you're not from the area, checking out a new area. Getthedata.com gives you a rundown of all the flood risk schools, a bit like Rightmove. There's also Street Check, which I found was really interesting. Just very detailed aspects of all the area you can pinpoint. So it gives you the amount of renting, ages, employment, ethnic groups, so more, and so on. So you just really, really hone in on that target. Then got to run the numbers. I'll go into this more in detail a bit because I don't have much time on how much I can record on the screen recording thing. But basically, you need to make sure it works for you. And a brief one here on my spreadsheet. So there'll be loads of these going around, but this was just mine I created. So here's one of my latest deals. So purchase price 61 gives you all the renovation costs, and then sort of your total cost put together, how much rent you're going to get, and it works out how much your cash flow is going to be per month. Then you go down to what it was actually you think it's going to be worth at the end, what sort of worst case scenario, and then it tells you your cash flow. And then these are the important numbers for me that I always look at is how much I'm going to leave in the deals. This one was 7,000, and how long it's going to take me to come back out of the deal. So like what I referred to at the start, it was how long I'd be willing to leave it in, which was 30 months. This one comes back at 22 months, so obviously that's under. So I was happy to accept that, and also the money that you get back from the company, the mortgage company when you refinance. So it just comes up here, new mortgage, new original amount. This is what the bank will give to you, and this instance it's 21,750. Okay, so those are the important numbers to test, and then you perform a stress test, which basically just change the mortgage interest to, I think it's at 2.5 now, change it to 6, which would be really over dramatic. If the Bank of England base rate would go up that much, would you be happy with that? And the answer was yes on that, so that's why I took that particular deal. Okay, and if all that stacks up, go and view the property, and away you go. And then I've just got a little bit on making offers there, which is not really relevant at this point. Okay, so hopefully this has been helpful. We give you a better idea on sort of searching for properties, and hopefully found out some good tips and tricks.